In the 12th century, Europe was a continent torn apart by ambitions and rivalries. Kings, emperors, and popes vied for power. And nowhere did those ambitions clash more dramatically than in northern Italy. There, the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick I, known as Barbarossa, the Red Beard, was determined to crush the independence of the wealthy Lombard cities. They called themselves the Company of Death, knights and militia who swore to defend their freedom until death. Dressed in black and marked by the image of a skull. He was confident. His German knights, trained and disciplined, had crushed rebellions for decades. But this time, he would face an enemy who feared no defeat. Reinforcements arrived, striking Barbarossa's army from the flanks. The Imperials wavered, then broke. In the chaos, Barbarossa himself barely escaped the field, stunned and humiliated. The people returned, rebuilt their homes and walls, and re-established their proud commune. The Carroccio, preserved thanks to the Company of Death, was treated as a holy relic. Their names, the names of those who fell, were inscribed in stone, so they would never be forgotten. Later chroniclers painted him as a perfect knight, brave and loyal, leading the company through impossible odds. Its presence reminded every soldier what they were fighting for. The Company of Death formed a living wall around it, refusing to break. In doing so, they protected more than a banner. They protected the soul of their city. Whether every detail was true hardly mattered. What mattered was the spirit of what they stood for. A citizen army defending their homes, families, and future. The Company of Death stands as proof that even when all seems lost, a united and courageous people can prevail. Their message is timeless. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and sometimes a willingness to pay the ultimate price. Their legacy is more than swords and shields. It is an idea that burns brightly even today. In many ways, he prefigured the modern citizen soldier, willing to take up arms in defense of a democratic ideal. That is why generation after generation, his name was revived whenever Italians faced oppression. Whether you are a student, a worker, a soldier, or simply someone who values your freedom, their story speaks directly to you. Here, we bring the past back to life, so you can learn, feel, and reflect on the lessons of those who came before us. Because those who know history will never be enslaved by it. It reminds us that freedom does not come as a gift from rulers, but as won and defended by the people themselves. Some say it was a tight group of dozens. Others believe it was a larger corps, drawn from the bravest of all the militias. Either way, its effect on the battle was decisive. They made Barbarossa remember that the will of a people cannot be crushed by iron alone. That is a lesson as vital today as it was in 1176. Their courage froze the advance of Barbarossa's best knights and gave the League precious time to counterstrike. The League built its defenses around the Carroccio, knowing it was both symbol and rallying point. If it fell, all was lost. His mystique of invincibility had been shattered. He had seen for himself that no matter how great his power, he could never truly conquer the spirit of free people. The communes grew stronger, with elected councils and systems of local justice. The Carroccio is brought out in ceremonial processions, its banners fluttering, to remind everyone that freedom was bought with blood. Generations of children grow up hearing about the men in black who refused to kneel. They became magnets for trade, innovation, and art, helping lay the groundwork for what would become the Renaissance. If Legnano had ended differently, if the Company of Death had broken, the communal movement might have died in its infancy. Instead, it was reborn stronger. A message that free men and women could unite and stand up to an emperor, no matter how powerful. And at the heart of this triumph were the men in black, whose oath to fight until death had turned the tide of history. From then on, the communes would rule themselves, a remarkable step towards civic independence that would change medieval Europe forever. They would fight with the fury of men who had nothing left to lose. Their mission was clear: protect the Carroccio, the sacred war wagon bearing the communal banner, and hold the line until the last drop of blood was spilled. These communes had grown rich and self-governing, refusing to accept the emperor's authority. In taverns, in castles, in marketplaces, stories were told of how a handful of men with nothing but courage and black armor had stood against an emperor. They became symbols of an ideal. Freedom is worth any sacrifice. Even centuries later, during Italy's 19th century unification struggles, patriots looked back on the company of death for inspiration. Their defiance lived on in songs, poetry, and paintings, a living heritage of resistance. Barbarossa would make an example of them, and especially of Milan, the proudest of them all. In 1158, Barbarossa attacked Milan, forcing humiliating concessions, but the people of Milan never truly surrendered. When they rebelled again, the emperor returned in 1162, this time reducing Milan to ashes. Its walls were toppled, its citizens driven out, its name nearly erased. Barbarossa believed he had won, but he had only sown seeds of revenge. In exile, the people of Milan conspired with other Lombard cities, forging a powerful new alliance, the Lombard League. From this league emerged a unique band of warriors who would terrify even Barbarossa's iron legions. In 1176, Barbarossa gathered a huge army once again to break the league forever. At dawn on May 29, 1176, the Battle of Legnano began. Imperial cavalry thundered toward the Lombard lines, their lances glittering, confident of victory. But the company of death stood firm around the Carroccio, shields locked, spears ready. Wave after wave of imperial knights smashed into them, yet they refused to yield. Their leader, Alberto da Giussano, became a living legend that day, rallying his men with unstoppable determination. The fighting raged for hours. The company of death took horrific losses, but their stand gave the rest of the league time to reorganize and counterattack. The victory at Legnano was more than just a military win. It was a message. In the months that followed, Milan rose from its ashes. Barbarossa, once invincible, was forced to negotiate. He recognized that the Lombard communes could not be crushed by force alone. The legend of the Company of Death spread far beyond Italy. Alberto da Giussano himself became a semi-mythical figure. The Carroccio, the war wagon, held a deep symbolism. It was not only a tactical anchor, but a kind of rolling altar to freedom. Historians still debate exactly how many men the company had, or how its internal command worked. Legnano also reshaped the political future of northern Italy. Every year, the people of Legnano still remember the battle. There are historical reenactments, parades, and solemn tributes. That story resonates far beyond Lombardy. Across the world, people still fight for their communities, their rights, and their independence. Barbarossa's empire survived, but he was never the same. And that is what makes the Company of Death so fascinating. Alberto da Giussano became the very image of civic virtue, a knight fighting not for gold or kings, but for neighbors, family, and freedom. The company's story is a testament to what humans can do when they stand together, refusing to bow even in the face of overwhelming power. So as you listen to this tale, think about what these men really taught us: that walls can fall, leaders can flee, but the courage of the human spirit endures. If the story of the Company of Death inspired you like it inspired me, subscribe to Vertex of Time, turn on notifications, and share this video with everyone who loves history.